Welcome to a zerok Terraform tutorial. This was a tutorial that was requested quite a long time ago now, and I'm going to show you not just the simple things of Terraform, but I'm going to explain some of the more intricate parts and also the things you can do with it. For more information, of course, do consult the wiki. We're going to start out with the fun things. That is, of course, what can you do with Terraform strategically? Terraform is, of course, a very powerful tool, because it can allow you to put buildings out of reach of the enemy. For instance, this scythe cannot touch these last two little radars. This one here, it can just barely touch it, however, it does have a very difficult time to do so. Using Terraform, you can extend the range of certain weapons. For instance, these two desolators. It's not by much, but it is something, and sometimes that's enough. Because if in a desolator v desolator, your desolator would win. Now you might be asking, for something like a Cerberus, a very long range weapon, which even has two different arcs, a shallow arc and a high arc. That surely has the same thing. It kinda does, however, it honestly is not that big of a difference. Yes, the high up Cerberus can hit slightly further than either two of the others. It's not by anything significant, so maybe this isn't even worth considering. And how about your standard Stinger type weapon, a direct fire weapon? Well, this Stinger can not actually hit at the end of its own range. That's a problem, so watch out when using Terraform, because some weapons can't even get to their max range just because they're high up. Luckily, the game knows this and does not allow you to actually try and fire that far away. However, you can also bury your weapons, making them hard to hit for the enemy. Do you want to be a nuisance? Well, here it is. With this little wall over here, none of these towers are actually able to hit through it, except for the pyro with its flaming weapon. It can actually allow you just to stop a Lucifer in its track, a Desolator in its tracks, all without too much difficulty. However, a Big Bertha can kinda just destroy the wall. So even if you try to construct it in front of it, it can just say, nah, don't think so, and just shoot through it. However, this only works if there is a small amount of wall. If it tries to shoot through a bigger piece, it will not even try, unless you specifically force it to fire upon the wall. You will often see caretakers being constructed in a hole or behind a wall. This is because caretakers, with their nano machines and all that, can actually reclaim and heal through terrain. Just like a pyro can shoot through terrain, caretakers can heal through it. Same with commanders and constructors, of course. The last major fun thing that people use Terraform for is, of course, over here. It is the Newton ramp. These things are relatively easy to construct. It's just take your constructor, create a ramp, choose a height from which you want to shoot, then choose a point from which you want to shoot, and I can actually recommend maybe trying to do some math. Oh no, scary. Don't want to do that actually. Which would allow you to just choose a specific ramp every single time. Could maybe allow for some fun things for accuracy. But hey, you don't want to do that. Just create the ramp and shoot things from it. For instance, over here, from the shield bot factory, it's snitches. We've got two simple little Newtons over here. They will have a Newton fire zone. Just there. That is surprisingly accurate and even relatively consistent. In the hands of a capable player, a Newton ramp can actually be really devastating. Some would argue that using pyros or jacks is actually more useful because those can mid-air jump. Mid-air jump allowing them to get to the ground unscathed and wreak havoc upon the enemy. In zerok, we've got 5 different Terraform commands, all with multiple functions. First of all is Z, so a ramp. The simplest thing you can do with ramp is, of course, make a ramp between 2 points. Click at the first place, click at the second place, and you get a ramp. The color of this ramp indicates which unit can cross it. Green is for everything, yellow is for only bots and spiders, and then red is for only spiders. However, if you're making a ramp for spiders, you're probably doing something wrong. Once you've got the 2 points selected, you can move your mouse up and down to indicate the width of the ramp. And the wider you go, the more expensive it will get, but the more units can pass on the ramp at the same time. Second function of ramp is by holding Control and click and drag up and down to indicate starting height of the ramp. Letting go of the mouse button gives you the starting point, and you can now move around your second point. Once you've got the first point selected, you can once again hold Control and click and drag to set the end point. Sometimes you want your starting or ending point at a specific height. In order to do so, hold Alt while holding the mouse button and move your mouse up and down to change the height. -5, for instance, is just under the waterline, which means it is easy for hovers and such to get out of the water. If you for some reason want to just raise, just lower, or do both with your ramp, you can press spacebar once, twice, or 3 times in order to cycle through those options. Only raise, as the name implies, only raises terrain to match the ramp as shown. Only lower does the same thing. It will try to follow the ramp in the way you set it, however it will only lower terrain. If you at any point want to cancel your command, you can just press escape or you can press the right mouse button. So the ramp command is actually a little bit special. Now we get onto the standard commands. It's first of all level. If you just click and drag, you can create a path, which you can just terraform. Scroll up and down with the mouse, or like move the mouse up and down to indicate the height. Once again, use Alt to change your snapping points, in this case like -2, -23 and 410 for level. You can also use Alt, click and drag to create a box or a plateau. Holding Control and Alt gives you a hollow box. It gives you a 2 blocks wide wall around whatever you want to have inside of the box. And rather than actually creating a hollow box every single time yourself, what you can also do is Control click and create a wall around a unit, in this case the metal extractor. This will once again be a 2 wide wall, so you don't have to construct the hollow box yourself. This is an easy way to just secure specific spots. Things like geothermals, singularities, it can be really important. If you want to draw a line, you can press Control and you can get a straight line. As soon as you let go of Control, that point gets selected for your line. You can mix and match just as much as you want. Something else about the line move: if you create a closed shape, it will also terraform as a closed shape. If you do not close the shape, you just get a straight line, or like a wavy line. Something to keep in mind, because if you try to make a hollow box using the line move, it could pan out really badly for you. The next command is very similar to the level command, but rather than making a flat piece, it also takes into account what the previous geometry was. For instance, this weird hill thing. If we create a shape around that, it goes up the same way. It raises everything by your terraform height. All of the other controls on this tool are the same as with level. Next up is probably the simplest tool of the bunch. It is flatten, restore, I guess. And it simply just takes away all of the terraform. You can create straight pieces, curved pieces, and if you close it, it will be treated as an entire area. And you can still create boxes, hollow boxes, and you can technically also terraform around a unit, although that is probably not the most useful. And the last tool in our arsenal is the smooth tool. It smoothens hills and such in a way that it makes certain units easy to pass. By using the smooth command, you can actually get vehicles and bots to pass a previously unpassable place. Back when this was created, if you didn't use the smooth tool, there was a small hill or like small lip in some of these spots, which is really difficult for bots to pass, because technically that's a very sharp angle. There is another semi-special thing in order to make a ramp like the one you just saw, is by creating your terraform. Then before confirming, you can use Control and point at the height of the thing you want. For instance, -5 over here, and over here we've got 731, 711, 687, 667, 647, 627. And just like that, you can very easily join two pieces together, which are at the same height. This is, however, something that's only possible with the level command. If you would try to do that with raise, by holding Control and moving your mouse around, it just snaps to 0. Probably not what you want. And as the tooltip says, Alt snap to steps of height of 15 height. That actually does not always work. At least for me, it has never worked, I'm pretty sure. I have just simple 6 snaps. Like 6 high snaps. However, that is the same if I do not hold any keys. Use the tooltip. However, if the tooltip doesn't do what you want, it can also be true that the tooltip is just incorrect. If you want to create a building that is either raised or lowered, like our example of a caretaker or here with the radar towers, what you do is you select your building, then if you press B, and for me it will be very obvious, it will have this weird rectangle or like box above or below it. This indicates where it will sit. If the box is below, it will get lowered. If the box is above or even over top of the building, it will be raised. And you can then change the height by using C and V. It is, however, also possible to use Alt and scroll wheel to go up and down. This might actually be easier to remember. Up is up and down is down, rather than Z and V. C for up and V for down. Each of these level changes is a height of 20 elmo. There are also a couple of Terraform presets in the game which are used to create specific formations of Terraform. This can be found on the wiki and you can see them on the screen. However, such a wall like this one can be smoothed, after which bots will once again be able to pass it. Vehicles, however, will not be able to pass a smoothed bot ramp. So just using a small bridge will not automatically prevent your enemy from going there. And even if you use the bot anti-pass to dislay vehicles, if the place is smoothed enough times, then even vehicles can once again pass it, or they can just remove all Terraform, restore the terrain in that specific place. I hope that with this video you now know a little bit more about how terraforming works in zerok, and hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of all of these tools in your next battles. So well done that you made it this far into the video. I hope it was useful, and consider subscribing, maybe watching another video in which I cast a match. But that's all I'm going to have for you today. And I'll see you, hopefully, in another video. Bye.